These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. Do you go out walking after midnight under the moonlight? Are you walking? Yes, indeed. Are you walking? In case you haven't figured it out, today we are talking about moving meditations. And I was having problems with my microphone, so I'm using microphone in the laptop, so that's why I had to pull it closer. Um, but yeah, moving meditations. So these can come in two formats, so to speak, the informal and the formal. The informal meditation is what you do just every day. So you go out for a walk, take the dog for a walk, go out to do your daily exercise, put on a video, go to the gym, whatever you normally do to, I would say generally either work out or just move around. Maybe you go out to garden for a little while. Um, but anything like that is a moving meditation. And essentially what's going on is you are putting yourself, you're going through motions, and you are solely focused on the here and now. That's it. Because generally you're either focused, if you're out gardening, you're going to be focused on the plants and the earth and moving stuff around, weeding, watering. You're not thinking about everything else that's going on. Your focus is here. If you're out for a walk, you might be focused on the trees, paying attention to traffic if you're walking in public areas, paying attention to where the dog is if you have a dog with you, looking at the animals, at the birds, at the squirrels, if you have, turkeys, whatever you have around. Or if you're at the gym, what are you doing? You're focused either on the machines you're working on. If you're taking a class, you're focusing on the instructor. Your movements, even if you're watching a video, you are still focused on the video because you want to make the right movements. You want to move in the right way. You might modify things if you have to, but essentially what it comes down to is your focus is in the present. It is solely in the present for the most part, the here and the now. And you either will eventually hit a point where you're moving on instinct, hopefully you're not overthinking, and you just are. All the stress comes out of you, the tension leaches out of you, and your mind is just kind of white noise, hopefully. You're just in that quiet head space and your focus is here. That's an informal meditation because what you are essentially doing is by quieting all of those thoughts, you're allowing your mind to kind of wander and connect to your higher self unintentionally. Do the same thing if you were to go out and daydream. So, what do you do? Well, not what do you do. So, what's the other end of this? The other end of this is a formal moving meditation. Now, moving meditations are a little bit different. You will ground, you will center, you will put on your protection, you will set your intention. What your intention is going to be a little bit different. So, this is usually where it's a more interactive meditation, so to speak. So what's happening is you are putting it out there to your guides that, hey, I am looking for interaction. So you can go and try and send out your aura and see how, what does the world look like? How does it sound? How does it smell? How does it feel? What do you see? And you can do that. That's a type of moving meditation because you're out, you're walking, and you're doing this. Another one can be looking for colors. So you can do this throughout the day, or if you want to, when you're out walking out the door, you can be like, hey, I'd like to see the color silver today, or gold, or red, or orange, or whatever. Arbitrarily pick a color and be like, I want to see this color on my walk today. And you go out and you see how much of that specific color the universe, your guides, or whatnot will send to you. If you are looking for solutions to problems, what you do is you state that you would like guidance of some sort on X, Y, and Z problem, and that's it. Try not to dwell on the problem. Open yourself up to focus on this, to get answers for the solution. Now, how is that going to come? It's going to differ from person to person. Um, it may come on the wind. You might hear snatches of conversation on the wind or snatches of, pieces of music. You might see animals. If you are familiar with what your animal guides are, you might see messengers in the form of animals. You might find a feather. You might find change. Um, you may have what is known as claircognizance. So it's clear knowing, meaning that you just all of a sudden you just know the answer. You know exactly what it is you have to do and how to do it and how to get there. You might have a moment of clairaudience, which is known as clear hearing, and you might hear the answer, some form or another. It might sound like someone's talking in your ear when there's no one there. There is also clairsentience, which is a feeling. So you might just feel that you know, like a kind of a gut sensation of this is what I have to do next. So those are some of the examples of how it might come across, and everyone's going to be different. Everyone is different, so you might interpret things differently. You might get different messages. Now, here's the other thing. It might also take up to 3 days for you get an answer for a specific question. Or you may not get an answer at all, which is fun. It's kind of like having a riddle and, not knowing quite what the riddle is and not having the cipher to decipher the riddle because you're not quite sure what the riddle is. So everyone is different and everyone's kind of got to figure it out for themselves. Unfortunately. Yeah, it gets interesting. Um, Let me see. Now, what actually brought this type of meditation to my attention was a book on the Morrigan, that I had read, and the author talks about how a woman had reached out. The author is a priestess of the Morrigan, and someone had reached out saying that the Morrigan had spoken to her as a vulture, or had appeared to her as a vulture. And this woman, the author, kind of had a moment, and she's like, well, that's not usually one of her symbols. It's not usually how she appears. So she's like, well, maybe it could have been, whatnot. And she just kind of goes about her day, and she's thinking about it while she's on a meditative hike, rather, and a vulture flies over her head. And she takes it as a symbol from the Morrigan to be like, I can appear however I choose to appear. So that's what made me realize that this is another type of meditation that's probably not well known just because we do it every day. You go for a walk or you go for a run and you go to clear your head. And in the process of doing that, you feel invigorated, you maybe feel lighter, ideas are coming to you, maybe theories are coming to you, thoughts, answers, different, the blood's pumping, the thoughts are flowing, and that's you connecting to your higher self. You just didn't know you were doing it. Now, so this is another option that you can set the intention, and then you have to kind of pay attention to the answer or how you're going to get the answer. It might come to you while you are on your walk or your exercise routine. It might come to you afterwards. Now, this is something you should preferably do by yourself, unless, of course, you have a canine companion that you wish to bring with you. They are more than welcome. I don't recommend doing this with another person simply because you're going to want to talk and you're going to want to rehash things. You're going to want to go over things, what's been going on in your day, what's been going on in your life, problems that you're working through, and it completely defeats the purpose of what you're doing because you do not want to dwell on the problem. You want to open yourself up to a solution. So that's why even when you set the intention for guidance for something, you don't want to dwell on the problem. You state the problem and then just kind of let it go and try to relax to open yourself up to the solution. It's kind of what you want to do. You want to be I use the word semi-trance state a little bit loosely in the sense, like maybe more spacey and daydreamy, or just kind of looking around and enjoying what's going on around you. Because you don't want to be so deep into a trance that you put yourself in danger. I don't want that. Now, can you do this if you are like, hey, Maria, I really like, walking's okay, hiking's okay, but I prefer a more structured workout. I'd rather go to a class. I want to put on a video. I want to just go work out at the gym. Maybe you don't want to always have to do a walk. My advice, try it. Set the intention before you walk into a gym class or before you put on that workout video or whatever it is you're going to do, dance video, Zumba, whatever. Put the intention out there, like I would like guidance or information, or I guess you could try the color thing um, or the aura thing in class. It'd be a little bit more, I would definitely put on heavier protection if you want to try the aura thing and you're in a group, just because you don't want to pick up everybody else's crap. Basically, that's what it is. You don't want to walk out feeling everybody else's emotions and their attachments and whatever else they're working through. You don't want that. So I would not recommend doing, you know, testing to see how it feels with your aura in an actual class or in a public location. If you want to do it in your own home, that's different. You're by yourself or you're with your family, so you're normally kind of exposed to them anyway. Um, but not in a group setting. There's too many outside factors, and you'd have to go real heavy on the protection just to make sure that you're not coming out with, hangers on and, oh, this person's having a bad day. They had a fight with their husband, so they're just miserable. And this person's got money problems, so they're anxious. You don't want to walk out with that kind of stuff on you. Um, but you can try. You can try if you know you need answers for something. You know, see if it comes to you. Again, you may get it during your workout, you may get it after the workout. It'll depend on how your guides communicate with you, and if you're still working on that, it's going to be a little hit or miss for both of you, because they have to figure out the right way to reach you, and you have to be open enough to communicating with them in the various ways that they choose to communicate. So that's another layer to it. There is also a thing called walking a labyrinth. I do want to do a separate video on that because there's some tradition and whatnot behind it. Brutally honest, it's too hot. Way too hot, and it's tourist season up here in New England, so the two places I have in mind that I would go, one might not be a problem, one probably will be, and I don't want to run the risk of interrupting someone's meditative walk. So hopefully, maybe once it gets a little cooler, I can try. If not, next spring is something is one that will materialize. I will take a moment here to add in a few safety things that have nothing to do with your meditation. Please make sure you're walking somewhere where you will be safe, where there are sidewalks, where you don't have to worry about cars. Um, People, I'm going to leave it up to you as to how, populated a trail or a walk you want to go on, but please make sure you are safe. Also, be aware of any animal sightings. Like where I am, there have been a lot of bobcat and black bear sightings, so you may want to avoid those areas, or just take extra precaution if you need to pick up like bear mace and pick up bear mace. The odds of you seeing these animals is probably slim to none, but it's always a possibility. So just be mindful of where you are, where you're walking, and if there are any, sightings for different predators, mostly predators, large predators. I do know, I don't know if this is still a thing. At one point, I believe Massachusetts and possibly Connecticut and Rhode Island, but I think it was definitely Massachusetts, had an influx of moose. So, yeah, but just be mindful. You don't want to have to face down an angry moose. They are not, they're, I'm sure they're very cute creatures, but, an angry moose is still 1,000 pounds of muscle bearing down on you that you have to now outrun. So try to avoid that. Another thing would just be another thing that I would suggest is be mindful. Now it's July when I'm recording this, so this might be more for spring or like early winter. Be mindful of breeding seasons, because if you are in a um, if you're in a farm heavy area or a ranch heavy area and you go walking where there are bulls or horses. I think more horses. Usually, I think if they want to breed the cows, they're generally a little bit more penned in. Do not want to have to run away from an angry stallion. That's another one. So just be aware, just maybe change your routes up if if you know the farms around you, if it's breeding season, try to avoid that, especially if you have to cut through, like even if you have permission. I know I think a lot of ranchers try to avoid having people just, meandering through their fields or their yeah, through the fields and the pasture land. That's the word I was looking for, pasture. So they do try to mark those off. I believe it was with purple stakes. I remember reading an article, um, so that people know where the land boundaries are for this express purpose of, either not getting stuck in a stampede or phasing down, angry animals, um, angry mamas and stallions or bulls and cows with new calves and mares with, foals. So just be mindful. Just be safe. Just be aware. That's the only thing I would say on that is just be safe depending on where you are. Whether it's you're walking in a city, in a park, or you've gone to a trailhead. Also, if you are going hiking or you're going deeper in the woods, you're going to a state park or a national park to do this. Also, let someone know where you are, God forbid if anything. So just these are more common sense safety things. Like, yes, you want to communicate with spirit. Yes, you want to learn to connect with your guides, but you also want to be safe while doing this. This is, you don't want to run afoul of any wild animals. Um, Again, you probably won't. You probably won't see them. Also, remember your bug spray and tick repellent. Um, yeah, that's the thing. Check yourself when you get home. Make sure you don't have any ticks. Or, yeah, I would think more ticks than anything. I don't know if chiggers latch on or they just bite. I'm not from the South, so not sure how those wonderful little creepy crawlies work. Also, be careful of snakes. Like you people down south and out west have a lot of snakes. Like we have copperheads. Supposedly, I've heard things of rattlesnakes. I've never seen them up here in New England. I don't know if that's an old wives' tale or if that's actually true. But yeah, like I had a friend that lived in Tennessee for a while. So yeah, so be careful of snakes. They're another thing you don't want to accidentally step on or put your go sit down on the wrong rock for a rest. So just be safe. Be safe out there. Do your meditations, but be safe. So yeah, all the things, all the things. Ugh. But yeah, so usually I think well-worn trails, yeah, you get animals, but not as much. I will say this though, do pay attention if an animal crosses your path and stops and stares at you. That's usually a direct message from your spirit guides, your animal guides, whoever it may be, to say, hey, I'm here, I got you. Or they're the ones delivering your message. If you get dived bombed by birds, that's another thing that happened to me just, I think, this past weekend or last week. I was walking into the gym. I was having a conversation with my guides on the way there because I was having a rocky morning and I was in a mood. And I'm walking in and I'm like, what the? Yeah, the whoop. Yeah, that. I'm like, all right, I get it. I get it. I got the message. Um, the more once they know how to communicate with you, you will find more interaction from your spirit guides. So fun things, interesting things will happen to you. Unexpected things will happen to you. So yeah, so just be prepared. I don't know how you prepare for that. Um, Mother Nature keeps you on your toes, and so does Spirit. So, but enjoy your moving meditation. The description for the book or not the description, the title and information for the book that I was referring to will be in the description for you. Let me know if you have any questions, thoughts. Always happy to hear from you. So take care, my friends, and until we meet again, bye.